Don't stop, we're in luck now. Don't stop, there's so much to be found. We can find paradise. All we have to do is go, go free your soul. Dragon Soul!
Oh, have I been waiting for this one. We're about to talk about an awesome entry in the franchise, and one that I consider to still be among the top 5 movies in the franchise. That's controversial, but it's my opinion. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Animation Station, welcome back to Super Saiyan-Tember 2, and today... So let me stop messing with the audio. Let's talk about Cooler's Revenge. I love this movie. I'm just going to say it right up front. If you're one of those people that's expecting me to call it like mid or average or just above average, yada yada yada, no. This, in my opinion, is a kick-ass movie. It's continued to be a kick-ass movie, and it will always be a kick-ass movie, in my personal opinion. The first one to feature Super Saiyan. It ties into the actual series, sort of. We'll get into that mess later. And, well, it's just all around awesome. So let's not waste any more time and dive straight in. Here's my review. Enjoy. Let's start with the summary, like always. The film begins with a flashback to when Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta, and Cooler's ship picks up Goku's space pod escaping the system. Cooler calls off the order to have it destroyed and lets it go, wanting Frieza to clean up his own mess. Love the way that ties back around later. And we'll talk more about that flashback tomorrow, because tomorrow we're doing Bardock, Father of Goku. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow, so I'm not going to go in-depth in the flashback. Not this time. More than 25 years later, Goku is practicing the Kamehameha at Kami House, with Master Roshi noticing that Goku had gotten much stronger since defeating Frieza on Namek. Back on Mount Paozu, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, Goku tries to get Gohan to finish his homework, causing Chi-Chi to grow concerned due to Goku not genuinely caring if Gohan completed his homework or not. Which leads into one of the funniest scenes in the movie. However, soon she discovers that Goku wanted him to finish his homework so he and Gohan, alongside Krillin, Oolong, and Icarus. But it's his last movie, so I'll shut up. Could go on a camping trip. She then demands to know which of the two he felt was more important. You know, after she thinks that he's becoming a vegetable and dives through a table trying to grab him. Again, one of the funniest scenes in the movie. Goku humorously responds that camping was more important to Chi-Chi's dismay. And Goku even says, like, Chi-Chi, I'm not an idiot. Every parent knows the answer to that. Camping, of course. It gets me every time, man. It's, again, one of the funniest parts of the movie. Meanwhile, on a faraway planet that we don't really get the name of, it's just some random planet that Cooler happens to be on, Cooler discovers that his brother was killed by a Saiyan, specifically Goku. Disgusted that Frieza, who he already had a strained relationship already, would tarnish his family's honor by losing to a primitive Saiyan, he orders Salza, the lead of his armored squadron, to plot a course for Earth with the intention to kill Goku and destroy the Earth. He doesn't outright say he's going to destroy the Earth until after the fact he finds Goku, but besides the point. Upon arrival, Cooler's forces ambush Goku and his friends on their camping trip, and after battling Salza, Naze, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, and Dore, Goku is wounded by an energy blast launched by Cooler that was meant to kill Gohan, but not before countering it with his own ki blast at Cooler, which Cooler just effortlessly deflects away. Because it's Cooler. But it was legit shocking to see Goku get knocked out that early in the movie. Like, this movie's not even half an hour. It's even shorter than Lord Slug, which is surprising, because it actually feels a little bit longer, because there's so much more story packed into this one. But yeah, that was legit surprising, seeing Goku get shot down and pretty much knocked out of a huge chunk of the movie for a while. Which also opens the door for more side characters to get a little more spotlight, which is always nice to see. I mean, yes, I love Goku, he's my favorite character in all of fiction, but, I mean, every now and then I want something else, you know? Because if it just becomes the same thing over and over and over again, it becomes boring. Just saying, I'm pretty sure that's just common sense. Cooler effortlessly deflects the blast, contemplating that Goku may have in fact beaten Frieza, and even speculates that Goku may be a Super Saiyan, as he's also heard of the legend. Undaunted, he tells the Armored Squadron to find and destroy them. Icarus, who's there just to be there, pretty much, reawakens Krillin during the aftermath of the assault by the Armored Squadron, and Krillin then ponders Goku's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Goku and Gohan emerge near a bank, and Goku just loses consciousness due to his injury sustained from Cooler's death beam. That's literally what he calls it in the movie, it's his death beam. Even though it's shot from his eyes and not his finger, but you know what, I'm not gonna question it. This movie's so awesome, I'm not gonna question it. Gohan takes his father, to shelter within a cave, but they are sealed away within a cavern due to Dore, Naiz, and Salza blasting the landscape in an attempt to kill them. They assume their efforts are enough to have killed both Saiyans, to which Cooler disagrees, stating that while he would rather prefer to just destroy the Earth, that being pretty much the reveal that he wants to destroy the Earth, his pride won't allow it. He wants to personally ensure Goku's death since he smeared his family name. Cooler also makes the point that he is not here to avenge Frieza, specifically in the Japanese dub. I especially love the little line of dialogue that he gives here. Like, I don't like these games any more than you do. I would rather just blow up this wretched planet, but I'd rather see you die by my own eyes. Like, it's just one of those cool, badass villain lines. Meanwhile, Krillin, Oolong, and Icarus, while hiding from the Armored Squadron, search for Goku until they discover them trapped within that cave, which was brought down when the Armored Squadron rained that giant bunch of ki blasts, destroying a huge section of the forest, and just the surrounding area. When Krillin uses a ki blast to destroy a rock that was about to crush Oolong, because Oolong was stupid enough to just not get out of the way, this is picked up on Naiz's scouter, but to their luck, a pterodactyl passes by, and he supposes that is where his reading came from. So, they got lucky. After Krillin sets up shelter in a small cave with Goku, Gohan riding Icarus, to avoid alerting the Armored Squadron scouters, because, you know, if he flies, that exhumes his power level, and that will allow the squadron to track him. Flies off to obtain sensu beans from Korin on his tower. After obtaining the beans from Yajirobe, who was at Korin's tower, and a nice hilarious little bit of dialogue back and forth between the two, they're like an old married couple when they argue. It's hilarious. Like, I know a lot of people make jokes about how in the MCU, specifically Infinity War, where Doctor Strange and Iron Man are bickering back and forth, it's like an old married couple. But this little bit with Korin and Yajirobe is very close to that, and it's hilarious. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic. I just love this movie, and I have a lot to say. In giving one to Icarus to fly faster and get out of there, unfortunately, apparently it also boosts his power level because he is ambushed by the squadron. But just as he is about to be killed by Dore, Piccolo arrives on the scene and saves him. Because he's Piccolo. That's pretty much what he does in all these movies. He saves Gohan's rear end. Piccolo proceeds to battle the warriors and kills Dore with a homing energy blast that he tries to stop and fails. He continues to fight Salza and Naiz, but is trapped for a moment in Naiz's bind wave, allowing Salza to chase down the fleeing Gohan. However, Piccolo proves far too powerful for the attack to work on him, and he transmits it on Naiz, frying and killing him. Yeah, have I mentioned yet this movie has some nice brutal deaths? Because it has some nice brutal deaths. Piccolo then ambushes Salza in the forest, but Cooler arrives and blasts Piccolo through the chest, and he orders Salza to continue chasing down Gohan. Okay, let's talk about the fight with Piccolo and Salza for a bit. Not only is it cool because we get to see Piccolo use his stretchy arms again, which again is a rarity in Dragon Ball nowadays, but also because Salza whips out a technique that would later go on to be used more famously by Goku Black, the Ki Energy Blade. Like when they have their hand out like this, and it manifests a whole blade made out of just straight energy coming out of the hand. Yeah, this is where that was first introduced. And it's not as cool as Goku Black, but it's still really cool. Like, Goku Black, when he uses it, is terrifying. But Salza, when he uses it, it's just a neat little variation that even catches Piccolo off guard. And then the way Cooler just blasts Piccolo with pretty much no mercy is awesome. Even though, again, it's kind of a rip-off of when Frieza blasted Piccolo when he somehow survived the Spirit Bomb. We'll get into that when we talk about that saga. And yes, this is kind of a rip-off of the Frieza saga to an extent. Gohan arrives at the cave with the sensu beans a short time later, but Salza arrives and destroys the bag just as he is about to give them to Krillin, further weakening Goku. An outraged Krillin attacks Salza but proves no match for him, because again, Krillin gets treated like a... Excuse my language here, but Krillin gets treated like a bitch in the movies. Gohan comes to his aid, but not before giving Goku the extra bean Yajirobe had thrown to him that he had put in his belt. Gohan is beaten and Salza walks toward the cave to finish Goku off. However, Salza's scouter picks up on a rising ki, and Goku appears before him, as after his scouter explodes. Cooler arrives moments later with an injured Piccolo. Goku demands that Piccolo be released while calling Cooler Frieza. However, he learns from Salza that Cooler is Frieza's brother. Just before Cooler drops Piccolo, Goku runs to save him, only for Cooler to blast the wounded Namek away. Horrified by this, Goku is enraged as Salza attacks Goku, to absolutely no effect. Goku condemns Cooler as being as evil as Frieza, and tells him that he will make him pay, as Cooler states he will destroy the Earth after killing him. However, the Saiyan powers up and Salza is sent hurtling into a rock. Not surprised, it's Goku. An amused Cooler tells Goku to show him the power he used against his brother, and with that, Goku charges at him. Yeah, like, this another really badass line in this movie, too. You're as twisted and evil as your brother, full of hatred. Well, no more, you've dug your own grave. Like, some of the dialogue in this movie is so freaking badass. Now for the Goku vs. Cooler fight. This fight is freaking awesome, and I will not knock any negatives against it. Goku continues to pound on Cooler, though Cooler seems to be not visibly affected by the attacks too much. The fight initially starts airborne, then goes underwater, again, ripping off Goku vs. Frieza. After they emerge from the water, Cooler understands how Goku gave Frieza trouble and decides to take things more seriously, and reveals his ability to transform once more, then Frieza to a shocked Goku. In Funimation's dub, Cooler tells of his history with his younger brother Frieza, and how he's always hated his spoiled brat of a brother, and that he was actually planning on killing him himself one day. Doesn't surprise me. Cooler reveals that Frieza always had the edge and strength until Cooler found a transformation beyond his brother's. The Tyrant then reveals his final transformation, and Goku ascertains that he has surpassed Frieza in strength. Yeah, let's talk about Cooler's design for a little bit, shall we? Yes, get your Super Shredder jokes out right now. I got my joke out in the thumbnail. You can get your jokes out right now in the comments section. Yeah, we can 100% agree that Metacooler's full final design, his full fourth final form, say that 5 times fast, is pretty much an anime version of Super Shredder from Secret of the Ooze. I mean, you compare the two, you see the similarities. Big hulking giant, face mask, the whole bulking body type, like, yeah, it's Super Shredder. I don't even want to hear someone say it's not. It's literally just anime Super Shredder. And like I said, I got my joke out with the thumbnail of this video, so moving on. You are more than free to put your jokes in the comments section. But yeah, it's blatantly obvious that he's an anime Super Shredder. And also, he doesn't go out like a bitch, so... I mean, in that way, he's actually a little better than Super Shredder when you think about it. Even with the use of the Kaioken and a Kamehameha, Goku proves no match for Cooler's increased power and finds himself completely outclassed. Yeah, another cool part in this movie, especially during this fight, is that Goku goes like Kaioken times 20 and throws a Kamehameha at Cooler. So what's Cooler do? He just flies right through it, not even affected by it. Again, badass. However, as Cooler threatens to destroy the planet, injuring a bird in the process, Goku once again channels his fury to become a Super Saiyan, and uses his energy to heal the bird. Yeah, let's talk about this Super Saiyan transformation. It's easily one of the best parts of the movie, and I'm sure that even the haters of this movie can agree on that one. Like, Goku's down, he's pretty much defeated, he's about to just, fall unconscious again and die. But then he starts thinking about all the friends that Cooler has hurt, and he starts having this anger build up in him. And then this little bird comes down from this tree that was also injured by, Cooler's attack. And when the bird dies right in front of him, that's the moment that Goku snaps, because that's a life that he could have saved. But at the same time, he didn't. Because he kind of couldn't, because he was pretty much beaten and defeated. And because of that, he picks up the dead bird in his hands, and the rage explodes in him. And then the way that they reveal that he actually even goes Super Saiyan is great. Like, the first shot you see is just him holding up the dead bird, you see a little yellow aura around him, and the bird comes back to life and flies away. And then you cut to Goku with Super Saiyan, and then it just zooms in when he lifts his head, and you see just that anger in his face, like that look of, you've gone too far, now it's time for you to get destroyed. Again, anyone who calls Goku boring, you clearly just don't like animation whatsoever. Like, Goku is not a boring character. He is anything but boring. Unless it's GT, but that's a whole other mess. But yeah, that transformation is sick. And I will actively defend that any day of the week. Heck, I'll defend this entire movie. Cooler finds himself like Frieza was, grossly outclassed. He laughs in amusement at how his brother was killed before he blasts Goku, but he's unaffected. However, this was a diversion, as Cooler summons a trump card in the form of a supernova to destroy Goku and the Earth. And we know it's called a supernova because that's the name they give it in the video games when you play as Cooler. That's his big ultimate attack. However, after a stint of struggling, Goku eventually manages to send it back with a Super Kamehameha. Yeah, like, this part's cool. Like, Goku at first, goes into the ground after trying to hold back this giant death ball, and it starts sinking into the ground. You think it's over. Cooler's laughing maniacally, and all of a sudden starts to lift up, and you see Goku just lift this giant ball of deadly energy up with his bare hands. There's a reason why that's the thumbnail of this video. It's one of the most badass Goku moments pretty much ever. It's so freaking cool. Sending Cooler hurtling into the sun. As Cooler curses out Goku, as he's slowly dying, he realizes that Goku is the Saiyan he let escape over 2.5 decades ago, and that he could have prevented this fate by killing the Saiyan child when he had the opportunity. Cooler then disintegrates and seemingly dies in the sun, though not really, because as we'll see in Return of Cooler, he kind of finds a bit of a loophole. But, let's talk a little bit about this death. Not only is it brutal, but it's also, amazing. Because not only is Cooler just slowly disintegrating bit by bit into the sun while he's trying to hold back his own attack that was blasted back at him, but the last thing he remembers before he dies is that he's the one that let this Saiyan go. He's the one that let all of this transpire. If he had just swallowed his pride and killed the child right then and there before he even reached Earth, none of this would have happened. And that realization just hits him like a freight train, and it just makes his death all the more satisfying, because it was his own mistake, it was his own screw-up, it was his own fault that he is now in the position that he is, and then he disintegrates and dies in the sun. One of the coolest freaking villain deaths in the entire series, and I will fight you on that. Goku, drained after his battle, is found by Krillin and Gohan. Salza reappears and attempts to attack them. Kind of liking a little bit, like, you know this whole medieval horror movie cliche where the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one final scare? That's kind of what Salza does here, because at first, when they see the rocks moving, they think it's Piccolo, and then it rises up and it's Salza. However, he is run through and killed by a special beam cannon from the distance. Gohan looks around and calls out Piccolo's name, and the movie ends with Piccolo staring at the sun while drinking some water out of a nearby river stream. And that's Cooler's Revenge. Awesome movie, great story, and it definitely has a lot packed into its very small runtime, which again, makes it feel way longer than it actually is. Because I'm pretty sure if you take the credits out, this is barely even over half an hour. It's more of a short film than an actual film. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, yeah, I know I've complained about the other movies about how they haven't been able to maximize the potential of the concept because the runtime is so short. But here, I feel like it makes more sense, because if they tried to stretch it out for another 20-30 minutes and try to reach that full hour mark, it would have felt a little bit drawn out. So, in this case, the short runtime actually helps. But yeah, the story's great here, and the final fight with Goku versus Cooler, worth every single second. Alright, next up is our voice cast, and we have yet another pretty small one, so let's talk about it. So, we'll start with the main people, of course. Sean Shin was Goku, Stephanie Nadolny's Gohan, Christopher Sabat's Piccolo, Sonny Strait's Krillin, Brad Jackson's Oolong, Cynthia Kranz's Chi-Chi, Christopher Sabat's Icarus, Christopher Sabat and Eric Vale's Korin. Yeah, apparently they both voiced him, that's a bit weird. And then Mike McFarlane's Yajirobe and Master Roshi. But honestly, what surprises me about this movie is that there's no Bulma. Am I the only one that finds that a bit weird? Like, Bulma has been in pretty much all the other movies up to this point, because I'm pretty sure she was a side character in Dead Zone when Goku first went to get the Dragon Radar to go find Gohan, and then she was captured in the second movie, and then she was a side character in the third movie. I think, yeah, she was. Side character in the third movie, then she was also a side character in the fourth movie, but in this fifth one she's nowhere to be found. That's a little interesting. I honestly didn't notice it until this most recent rewatch, but yeah, that's really cool. And then the Funimation dub in this one, the music for the Funimation dub, the non-remastered version, the original uncut edition, had a bunch of metal playing in the background. So, like, in the moments in the remaster version where you hear silence, that's originally where a piece of licensed music was soundtracking the fights. So, for example, you had Drowning Pool, Dust for Life, American Pearl, Breaking Point, Finger 11. Breaking Point, you had three Drowning Pool songs. Deftone, another American Pearl, another Breaking Point. And then, to soundtrack the final battle, they got Disturbed back again, this time for the game. You put Disturbed in a soundtrack of any final battle, it instantly increases its memorability. Instantly. It was awesome when Stupefied played in Goku vs. Lord Slug, and now it's even more awesome to a point, even though I think Stupefied is a better song personally. To have Disturbed as the background fight music for Goku vs. Cooler. Like, that's sick. They really knew that the metal aesthetic added a lot to the actual fights. And it's a shame they removed them in the remastered version, which is why I've been complaining a lot about the lack of music, specifically in Tree of Might. But honestly, I kind of understand it now, and I'm not going to try to complain about it as much, unless it's like a scene that goes nowhere. If it's a scene that goes nowhere where there's no music or anything actually happening, then I'm going to complain. There was also a lot of fights in this one. You had Krillin vs. Naiz, Gohan vs. Dore, Goku vs. Salza, Dore, and Naiz, Goku vs. Cooler in his final form. Then you had Gohan vs. Salza, Naiz, and Dore, Piccolo vs. Dore, Naiz, and Salza, and he kills two of them. Piccolo vs. Cooler, that's not even a fight, that was barely even an interaction. And then Krillin and Gohan vs. Salza, and then you had Goku, Base, and Super Saiyan versus Cooler's final form and fourth form. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything. That's the voice casts, that's the summary, that's the story, that's the writing, that's my thoughts on the fight, and some extra little tidbits about the music. So all that's left now is the written review, and then my overall final thoughts, if I haven't already made them very, very clear. So, here's my written review, and then I'll talk about my overall thoughts. Pros: great action, great voice acting, awesome villain that's almost as iconic as Frieza, and yes, I will die on that hill. Great story, sharp writing, high stakes, an insane final battle with an enjoyably brutal finisher. Again, one of the best villain deaths in all of Dragon Ball. A few laughs, Korn's first appearance in the movies being brief but entertaining, especially, again, when he argues with the Yajirobe like an old married couple. One of the most beautiful and incredible Super Saiyan transformations in the entire franchise, already went over that. Fast pacing and astronomically high rewatchability. And Disturbed's back on the soundtrack yet again. Its one and only major flaw is the same one that affects a lot of these non-canon Z films. It is a ripoff of a saga from the actual anime. It's treated like a sequel to the Namek saga, but it's more of just a straight ripoff with the most minute of variation. Overall, though, this movie is, for lack of a better term to properly describe it, bad-ass. I've always loved this one, and it's only gotten better with every rewatch. Easily among the top 5 of all the movies in the franchise. Highest recommendation possible. That pretty much sums up everything. This movie is awesome, this movie's badass, this movie only gets better every time I watch it, and if you for some reason haven't watched it yet, you need to. It's easily among the top 5 best of the entire franchise. This is a great movie, it's a fantastic movie, and it is so close to perfect if it wasn't for the fact that it's technically unoriginal. That's literally the only thing holding it back. But as is, it's still an amazing film, easily my favorite of the first 5 movies, and in my opinion, among the top 5 movies of the entire franchise. Yes, that includes Battle of Gods and Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan. So, yeah. That's pretty much all my thoughts on this movie, so let's go ahead and just jump to the final verdict. My final verdict for Cooler's Revenge is going to be an easy, high, solid 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Kick-ass movie. all these years later, it's only gotten better with every rewatch, and it's even better with the licensed music in the uncut version. It is a kick-ass movie, it is a badass movie, and if you for some reason have not watched it yet, go watch it right now. It is worth the price of admission. It can be a little slow here and there, and yes, it's entirely unoriginal, pretty much, because it is a ripoff of the Namek saga, but outside of that, it is a damn good movie. And you absolutely need to check it out if you haven't already. Well, that's it. Now, normally I would say, this is when I say, well, see you next time for Return of Cooler, its sequel. But, we're not gonna do that. At least not yet, because, I didn't say I was doing just the movies with this. I said I was also gonna do the specials. Now, I don't really know where they fall in the release order, technically, so I'm kind of just throwing it in here as a gap between me going through Movie Collection 1 and Movie Collection 2. So, because of that, tomorrow, instead we're going to be reviewing Bardock, Father of Goku. Another top 5 entry in the franchise, let me tell you. Great film. Well, great short film technically, but still a great film, great special. I'm excited to talk about it, but that's going to do it for our review today for Cooler's Revenge. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Animation Station. And keep your bell on because we have a long way to go with this marathon. We still have many more movies to go, not to mention the 2 specials. And we still have every saga in Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. So we still have a long way to go with this marathon, and I hope you guys continue tuning in. Also, thank you guys for getting the World's Strongest review to over 100 views. That's amazing. I can't thank you guys enough for that. And let me know your thoughts and opinions on today's review down below. Do you love this movie as much as I do, or are you with the general consensus that you think it's one of the weakest? Either way, I'd love to hear your opinion, and I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this review. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Josh Small of Animation Station, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for Bardock, Father of Goku. So, till then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.